Let's now compare the life and religion of Ramesses II to the claims that the Qur'an makes about the Pharaoh of Moses.
وَإِنَّ فِرْعَوْنَ لَعَالٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَإِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الْمُسْرِفِينَ.
This claim that the Pharaoh of Moses was extravagant has been proven by archaeological discoveries, which show that Ramesses II was the grandest of the pharaohs. The archaeologist Peter Clayton wrote, "His genuine building achievements are on a Herculean scale." The archaeologist Eric Uphill wrote, "The palace of Ramesses was probably the vastest and most costly royal residence ever erected by the hand of man." The Egyptologist Kenneth Kitchen wrote, "Certainly, in his building works for the gods, Ramesses II surpassed not only the 18th dynasty, but every other period in Egyptian history." With regards to the religion of the Pharaoh of Moses, the Qur'an makes the following claim.
فحشر فنادى فقال أنا ربكم الأعلى.
The Qur'an states that the Pharaoh of Moses was arrogant, exalting himself to the position of God. Modern archaeological discoveries have proven this to be true. Ramesses II built the great temple at Abu Simbel to honour himself. Its entrance is flanked by 4 colossal statues of Ramesses II, which dwarf the statue of Ra-Horakhti, god of the horizon, located above it. This temple also contains an image of Ramesses II, making a sacrifice to his divine self. The Qur'an makes the following claim about the Pharaoh of Moses, who God drowned in the sea.
فَالْيَوْمَ نُنَجِّيكَ بِبَدَنِكَ لِتَكُونَ لِمَنْ خَلْفَكَ آيَةً.
We can see that the Qur'an explicitly states that the Pharaoh's body will be preserved as a sign for future generations. Note that the Qur'an never makes such a statement about any of the other destroyed nations that it discusses, typically stating that their abandoned buildings and ruins have been made signs for later generations. This claim about a body being preserved is unique to the Pharaoh of Moses. The body of Ramesses II was discovered by archaeologists in the year 1881 CE. The mummy has been on display in the Cairo Museum, and over the last century, it has been seen by millions of tourists from all over the world. In the following documentary, Sir Tony Robinson states that Ramesses II is one of the few pharaohs whose body has survived largely intact.
Just across the river from Luxor lies the famous Valley of the Kings, where Ramesses himself was buried. His mummy was discovered in 1881. One of the few pharaohs whose body has survived largely intact.
Historically, priests had concealed his body in a secret location in the year 1000 BCE because of a problem with grave robbers. Nothing was known about his mummy in the intervening period of almost 3,000 years. At the time the Qur'an was revealed, the whereabouts and fate of Pharaoh's body was unknown. During the 3,000-year period in which the body was hidden, it could easily have been damaged or stolen. It may have even remained lost forever, locked away in its secret location, never to be rediscovered. If you think about it, these statements in the Qur'an are not only historically accurate, but also represent quite a bold prophecy. The Bible informs us about a series of plagues that God brought upon Egypt. The book of Exodus informs us that the first 6 of these plagues are as follows. First, the Nile was turned into blood. Second, masses of frogs. Third, swarms of mosquitoes. Fourth, swarms of flies. Fifth, the death of livestock. Sixth, boils on people and animals. Now at first glance, this series of plagues in the biblical narrative may seem random and unrelated. However, the Qur'an sheds light on these events. The Qur'an states the following about the divine punishments against Egypt.
فأرسلنا عليهم الطوفان والجراد والقمل والضفادع والدم آيات مفصلات فاستكبروا.
Notice the first punishment mentioned by the Qur'an, a flood. This is an important detail that is not found in the Bible. This punishment of a flood actually explains the 6 seemingly random and unrelated plagues in the biblical narrative. A flood would result in high concentrations of red earth entering the Nile River and causing a blood-like colour, killing fish and making the water undrinkable, as described in the biblical narrative. This phenomenon is attested to historically, as recorded by a Middle Kingdom Egyptian sage. See, the river is blood. One shrinks from other people and thirsts for water. The rest of the biblical plagues are also easily explained as a consequence of the flood. Frogs, mentioned in plague number 2, are known to fill the land after Nile floods. The death of the frogs recorded in the biblical narrative can be caused by contamination of anthrax that was carried over from the rotting fish. Mosquitoes, mentioned in plague number 3, proliferate after Nile floods, as the pools of water left over from the flooding would have allowed them to overbreed. Swarms of flies, mentioned in plague number 4, would be brought about by the massive death of frogs on the land. The death of pasturing livestock, mentioned in plague number 5, can be explained by anthrax, as brought on the land by the frogs. The boils on humans and cattle, mentioned in plague number 6, may have been caused by bites. The stable fly in particular is infamous for its vicious biting of mammals. We can see that the Qur'an's mention of a flood easily explains the biblical plagues, which are not random as initially appears to be the case, but in fact a series of interrelated events.